So a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of the series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, the NBA Finals officially got underway, and it got off to a flying start, setting the tone with plenty of adjustments needing to be made, plus we got some off-season rumors already starting to fly around, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is a skill-based, real-money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 to 6 players and guess if they will hit more or less than their projection. And if you get it right, you win. Plus, with their new Demons and Goblins lines, you can now win up to 100 times your original lineup. Obviously, we're all basketball fans here, but PrizePicks has almost every sport you can think of available to choose from and play. To add to the fun, they also offer frequent bonuses, discounts, and weekly promotions such as Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday, plus so many more specialty free spaces to watch for throughout the year, so you don't want to miss those. For the next slate of games, I'm going with Kyrie Irving to score over 22.5 points, Derek Jones to grab over 2.5 rebounds, and Jrue Holiday to dish out over 5 assists in this week's lineup. To sign up, go down to the link in the description and use promo code REFERENCE when you sign up to get a deposit match bonus of up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Cremated, and he says that no team was going to be able to beat the Celtics this year regardless of whether they were fully healthy or not. From the very beginning of the season, the Celtics have quite easily been the best team in the NBA. They finished the year with easily the best record in the league, they finished the year with a historically ranked #1 offense all time, they were the second ranked defensive team, they were the best three-point shooting team, and it's really hard to pick out a clear weakness with this squad. Even with all of that being said though, the feeling amongst fans and analysts really had never been that the finals were a foregone conclusion in the favor of the Celtics like it felt during the peak of the Warriors dynasty when pretty much everybody knew they were winning it all before the season even started. Of course, the Celtics have still rightfully been viewed as the favorites to go all the way, but things were still viewed as pretty wide open, when perhaps in hindsight it shouldn't have been viewed like that to this degree. The Bucks probably have the biggest case of what if regarding their chances with the Celtics, since they traded for Damian Lillard specifically to make a deep playoff run, and he ended up missing half of their first round series due to injury, while Giannis Antetokounmpo also missed the entire series due to injury, so they never really had a chance to show what they could do in the big dance. The Knicks are another team in the East that made some big moves and at their best were a tough-nosed group that dominated the glass and seemed to be playing their best basketball at the right time, but the injury bug also held them back in the end as well. Then in the Western Conference, the Clippers once again had to go on without Kawhi Leonard, which halted any chances they had of making any noise, but ultimately, even at full strength, all of those teams had clear exploitable weaknesses, and so far, the Celtics have shown that they don't really have any. In my NBA Finals preview video that I posted a couple days ago, I went over all of this in more depth, and my ultimate prediction for the series was that the Celtics were going to win in 5 games, and a lot of your comments hated that, saying that I was being disrespectful towards the Mavericks. Believe me, I don't want to be right about that prediction because at the end of the day I am a basketball fan who wants to watch a highly competitive and close series, but Game 1 just went down and the Celtics blew the doors off of the Mavericks en route to a blowout, and while one game does not decide a series, that game went down pretty close to what I thought could happen. The Celtics can get hot from 3 in a heartbeat, while also locking down defensively as well as anyone, and they've been doing it all season long, so if the Celtics do end up on top, the right team will have won this year. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Noor, and they say that this year's NBA draft class is becoming way too hated on, and it will ultimately produce a couple of future All-Stars in the long run. There's no doubt that this year's draft class is struggling to generate much excitement compared to prior years. There is no clear-cut generational talent this year like there was in last year's class with Victor Wembanyama dominating headlines, fascinating the NBA world with his unreal combination of length, size, athleticism, and skill, and there aren't even any clear-cut all-star types at the top either this year, which will understandably make it harder for fans to get excited about. But drafts like this have still historically produced some top-tier talent. The fun part actually comes from the fact that it is so unpredictable. I like comparing this year's class to the class of 2013 because that was another year where nobody really knew who the best player in the draft would be. Anthony Bennett ended up going #1 overall, only to go on to be one of the biggest busts the league has ever seen, but ultimately, at the same time, that draft also produced Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert, Victor Oladipo, and CJ McCollum, so high-level talent did pop up, it just wasn't obvious at the time. This year's draft, I believe, has a lot of players who can serve at minimum as highly impactful role players in the long run, and if I had to put my money on it, I would definitely side with the person who submitted this take, agreeing with the fact that the best general managers in the world will do what they have to do to uncover some hidden gems that will become all-stars down the line. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Poke, and he says that Dan Hurley will make the Lakers title contenders again if he becomes their new head coach. So the Lakers season may be over, but they've still found a way to dominate headlines after it got reported that they're in advanced talks to make Dan Hurley, who just coached the University of Connecticut to back-to-back March Madness titles, their new head coach. Ever since he settled in at UConn and got a few of his own recruiting classes in there, they have easily been the best program in the country, and Hurley's no-bullshit style is at the heart of it all. He made sure nobody in his squad plays selfishly, ego has to be checked at the door, players have discussed how grueling practices are under him and how they're oftentimes more difficult than the games they play, and his ability to develop talent has been given the highest of praises by his peers. As a basketball coach, he would without any doubt be an upgrade over Darvin Ham, but I do have some hesitancy to trust him to be in charge of the most famous NBA team and the biggest name in the entire sport for a few reasons. For one, that hard-nosed coaching style is something that thrives way more in college than it does in the NBA because the college game is all about immediate success for the program, while the NBA is a business where the players come first. The NBA has a lot of egocentric players dominating the league, and in many ways that is great for the game because their personalities, flash, and exciting flair are what bring fans out. But college coaches have historically had a much tougher time making the adjustment to the NBA because they're not used to dealing with these big personalities and their egos that come with it. I think Hurley would go down as one of the greatest college coaches of all time if he stays, because his coaching style is perfect for that level. But in the NBA, I could easily see his name pop up in headlines about him clashing with some players in practices, which is what makes this a tough decision. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.